morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the third webinar of the ACTT program. We want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, from where I'm at. Thank you for joining us tonight. And today we are joined by an incredible person. So we are joined by Mr. Taha Farouk, who's going to be our webinar panelist today. And he's a security researcher working at ACTT3 consultancy as a penetration testing team lead. He has experience of 5 years in the industry of technology, not only as a security researcher and analyst, but also as a programmer. So in his research, he has been able to uncover a few vulnerabilities and usually outsources them publicly, making them open source, especially for the projects and tools that he writes through his GitHub and his online article writing blogs. He's an incredible penetration testing researcher from Tanzania, and welcome so much, Taha, to our webinar. Just before he begins, I'd like to make a few announcements regarding this webinar. If you do have any questions for the panelists or for Mr. Taha himself, please post them on the Q&A section. Patricia, Linda, or I should be able to answer them either live, or we're going to directly send you the responses to the questions and concerns you have. Other than that, welcome, Mr. Taha, and take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing fine. And as introduced by Ms. Malusi, my name is Taha Farouk, and I will be the one providing you with the session for today. So today I'm going to be talking about advanced personal and host security. So I hope everyone can see me. So what is advanced personal or host security? So this is basically the inclusion of you as your own well-being as a teacher, and for the students as well, to be able to protect your privacy and secure your privacy as well. So in this session today, I am going to walk you through about how you can maintain your privacy and secure your devices through the internet. So I've prepared a few slides that I'm going to be sharing with you and demonstrating a few things so that you can learn through. Let me begin the screen sharing. Okay, so as I explained a bit about what advanced personal or host security is, let's move forward to a bit about myself. So as explained earlier, I am a penetration testing team lead at ACTT consultancy. I am also the founder of ACTT community. I am also a security researcher at HackerOne, but also a programmer by hobby. Okay, so moving forward to begin our session, we'll start off by securing yourself. So how do I mean by securing yourself? So the internet is a wide space actually. It's a huge technological world out there. So there's a lot of things going on in the internet, and some are good, some are bad. So you don't want to get involved in the bad parts. So as a teacher, you must be involved with the internet a lot, because you are going through sources through the internet to gather documents and resources for your students, and for the students as well. They are going through the internet to gather resources and sources as well. And when they are doing their assignment, they must need to do some researches as well. So how are you going to secure yourself on the internet? So starting off with a few ways of securing yourself, I will go through the usage of AD blockers and private browsing, and then we will move forward to usage of firewalls and antiviruses, and then configuring strong security in emails and instant messaging tools. Then we will end by how to implement MFA and 2FA in devices and applications. Okay, so moving forward, we will begin with AD blockers. and secure browsers. So what are AD? So have you ever, it reached a time you're visiting a website, and on that website, you click on a button and something else pops up, like you did not expect it to redirect you to somewhere else, but it does that. So those are what are called ADS. So they're like prompts of a cover up that is on top of the website. So when you click it, it's not intended to take you to where you want to go, but it will redirect you to another place. So sometimes this can be very bad because it might be the cause of downloading a malicious file to your computer or device. So how do you tackle this problem? So the first way of tackling it is by using softwares for AD blocking. So you're using a browser, let's say Firefox, Google Chrome, or maybe Edge. Those are the top browsers that are used by mostly everyone. So in these browsers, you are going to be needing to download some extensions. So I'm going to share my screen in full so that I can demonstrate to you how to install these extensions for AD blockers. Okay, so I hope you can all see my screen. So this is Firefox. Starting off with Firefox, I am going to show you how you can install an extension in Firefox. So there is this icon over here. Once you click on this icon, it will show you manage extensions. But in a case if you do not see this icon, you can just click over here, and the hamburger icon, and you will see an option that says add-ons and themes. So clicking on that, you will be able to see a list of extensions that are already on your browser. And if you probably don't have the AD blocker, so you're going to search for it over here. Like you will type something like AD blocker, and then you set that up, and yeah, you will see a ton of these extensions are available for free. So you are going to choose any that you are comfortable with, but I recommend you use AD Blocker Ultimate or ID Guard AD Blocker. So this one is actually, I think it's on paid, it's a subscription extension, I think. Yeah, but as you can see, the description says it completely remove all ADS, the ads, no acceptable ads or whitelisted advertisers allowed. This free extension also helps block trackers and malware. So they are really useful and helpful when you are trying to implement them on your browser so that you can do your work in peace. So to install this, for example, you just need to click on this, and over here it will be it will give you something like add extension or install. You will click on it, and a prompt will come up, and you will just accept that. And once done, you can come over here and you'll be able to see your extension and manage it. So I have enabled it for this website, and you can disable it if you are trusting the website. Yeah, so that's how easy it is to download an extension for Firefox. Now moving to Chrome, the same thing. We have this icon over here which contains the extensions. You can click on manage extensions, or you can click on the three dots icon over here in the right corner, and you will see an option more tools. You click on more tools and you will see task manager, and above it there is extension. So clicking on extensions, you will be able to move through the extension store. So you can search up your extension like AD blocker. Okay, so it's not here. You go to the extension store, you click on this hamburger icon on the left of the extension with the Google Chrome icon, and moving down to open Chrome Web Store. Then from here you can search for AD blocker. Then you'll be able to see AD guard comes as well. So you can, for example, want to install this to add this to our Chrome. to our browser, we can just click on that, add Chrome, add extension. Yeah, done. So yeah, it will prompt up something like this, but when I click over here, I can get a full option of the AD guard, so I can know what's going on. If there is any malicious AAD that is being spotted, it will let me know from here. So this is also a nice way to secure yourself with a browser using the AD blockers. Now in Microsoft Edge, let's see, I can just come over here and the 3-dot icon on the top right corner, we move to extensions option, click on it, and open Microsoft Edge add-ons website. Then from here we can type in AD blocker, and we will be able to see a list of extensions that are available. We can start off with AD guard, AD blocker. So we can just click on that, get, add extension, and it will be downloading the extension. Then it will add it. Yes, done. So as easy as that, when I click on this icon, I will be able to get the full options of the extension that I just installed. So yeah, that is I can say all about AAD guards that you can do to protect yourself. Now, on this slide, I also talked about using incognito and private browsing. So let's say you're visiting a website that you do not want your information to be left on, or your cookie or data to be left on that website. So you don't trust the website, but it has a valuable source that you need from it. So instead of visiting it on your browser, as you normally do, you can use private browsing to visit that browser. Whereas when you just exit the window, everything will be gone. Because or maybe in another case scenario, you're using someone else's computer to log in to your account. So you do not want your credentials, your usernames, your passwords, your emails to be left over in this account, or in this device. So what you're going to do is you're going to use private browsing. And how do you do that? Is you click on the three icons, the 3-dot icons, and then you can see in Edge, this is Microsoft Edge, you can see that you have an option for new in private window. Once you click on that, you will be able to move into a private browsing window. So anything you search over here, and once you close this window, it will be gone. Yes. So moving to Chrome, we also have an option for that. You can just click on the 3-dotted icons over here, and then we can see we have new incognito window. Clicking on that, it will open us to a private browser, whereas anything and it says there, so Chrome won't save the following information: your browsing history, cookies and site data, information entered in forms. So nothing about this will be saved at all. So that is how you open a private browser in Chrome. And for Firefox, we click on the hamburger icon on the top right, and you can see we have an option for new private window. Clicking on that, we will be able to open our private window, and we can do anything privately. As it says over here, Firefox clears your search browsing history when you close all private window. This doesn't make you anonymous though. Yeah, so it's, as I said, for protecting your data and information, as you do not trust the device or the website you are visiting. Yeah, so moving on to the next slide. It's about firewalls and antiviruses. So first of all, what is a firewall? So a firewall is, it can be a hardware, which means a physical device, or it can be a software, an application that, or a program that is installed on your computer or phone. Yeah. So a firewall helps monitor and detect suspicious network activities that are happening on your network or your devices. So that is the use of firewall. And antiviruses, this is a program that is installed in your device, maybe phone or computer, that is used to detect and prevent as well as remove malware, viruses, and any malicious documents or programs that are downloaded maybe by accident or are in your computer. So there are a lot of examples of firewalls and antiviruses. I also mentioned a few over here, such as Symantec, Kaspersky, Komodo Firewall, and TinyWall. So these are the most famous ones, but you can go for Avast as well. For a quick preview, I have Symantec installed in my computer. So I'm just going to show you a bit of how it looks like. A minute. So this is what Symantec looks like. So as you can see, Symantec, it does a lot. It's more of a firewall and antivirus at the same time. So it has an option for virus and spyware protection, proactive threat protection, network and host exploit mitigation. So as it explains over here, so for the first option, it protects against viruses, malwares, and spyware. For the second option, it provides advanced behavioral protection against unknown threats. And for the third option, it protects against web, network threats, and zero-day exploits. So yes, let's say your browser is acting weird. So once you use, for example, in my case, I'm using Symantec, though I think most of the schools or organizations such as that should be using an enterprise level antivirus or protection software such as Symantec, because it's an enterprise software. So with this software, you can feel safe actually, because it's very useful and it's very protective at the same time. So for example, in the options of the virus and spyware, I can see for the logs that are going on in my computer. So it performs the scan actively all the time. And as you can see, the last scan was done in the morning, 8:45, and nothing was found suspicious, no infected application or anything. So yeah, this is also a nice software to use for protection in viruses and as a firewall as well. So to explain a case scenario about firewall and viruses, so I gave out a bit of explanation in this slide, but I'm going to explain it in depth, so briefly, of course. So let's say you are in a website and you are downloading a document, but this document, you do not expect it to be a document really. So, I mean, you do expect it to be a document, but it's not really a document, because you do not know where it's made from, and you're not really sure about what that document is. So there are a few things to make sure once you're downloading files or documents from the internet. The first thing is to always check for the extension of the document. So what is an extension of the document? So an extension of the document is the file name or the file type of the document. So let's say an image document. We all know that an image document must end with .jpg, .png. I'm pretty sure you've come out with that case if you're using a computer and you're copying an image to the computer. So it must have that extension, like .jpg, .png. Those are what extensions are. So let's say you're downloading a Microsoft Word document. It must end with a .x, yeah, something like that. So these are very much important things to be looking at when you're downloading these documents from the internet. So how does antivirus help you? So when you're downloading such files and you're not sure if it is really a document or not, so you check on the extension and you find out the extension is really as a document is, but sometimes malicious documents, they might have the extension of the file you're downloading, but the content inside it is malicious. So an antivirus will help you spot this. And as an example, we can see that we have a document over here. So this document actually isn't a document. You can see that the file icon is of a document, but it's not really a document. It's a .exe file. If we open it and show more the properties, we can see that it's an application, a .exe, but the icon, it looks like a document. So that is how malicious files can hold us in the systems when you're downloading documents online. So there are a lot of things to be keen about. Yes, so moving forward with the slides, we have the third one, which is securing emails and instant messaging applications. So in emails, most of the, as teachers, of course, in schools, you must have a system for a webmail, like in schools, where teachers will use that system to communicate with the parents or the students. So how sure are you that you're going to be protected in this, I mean, your account is protected like to the full extent, whereas you won't be false in a threat? Yes, as I was saying, I'm going to demonstrate to you guys a bit about how we can use email, we can use two-factor authentication to protect our email accounts, and various types of applications that we can use to manage our passwords. So just a minute over here, let me connect. Okay. So I have just opened my Gmail account over here. So in my Gmail account, I'm going to move down to settings. And after clicking on settings, I will click on my account. And then I will open your info, privacy, and security. Then I will swipe to security, and I shall be able to see that I have an option for two-step verification, and it is enabled. So once you open and you see it is not enabled, you need to enable that. So you just click on that and you'll be able to set up your two-factor authentication for your email. This will allow you to prevent someone else from gaining access to your email account, despite having your email ID and your password. So they will need to have access to your two-factor step authentication, such as your phone number. They need to have access to your phone number so that they can receive the OTP that is being sent to your phone number. An OTP is a one-time passcode, which is sent to your phone number for verification that this is you're trying to log into your account. So yes, let me move forward. So another way to securing your emails and backups is, your emails and your image and instant messaging applications by performing backups. So when you're having a ton of emails and these emails are important, you have a lot of documents saved in there and you want to keep track of them. So you're going to need to perform backup. So if you're using Gmail for the means of communications, then you will have to use Google Drive to perform a backup of your emails, and whenever you need them, you can restore them. So that is also a nice way to keep track of your data and information. Yes, so moving forward to implementation of two-factor authentication and MFA. So not only can you use two-factor authentication, and let me share my screen for the. Yes, so here implementation of 2FA and MFA. So not only can you use your email, can you use the security processes on your email, but you can also use them for different application as well. So let's say you're using maybe Slack. For the students, most of the students use Slack to perform their tasks. And in Slack, it has an option for two-factor authentication, as well as Discord. So there are various applications that you can also secure them with 2FA and MFA so that you can make yourself at peace, knowing that your account is secure and your applications are secure. So this way, I'm going to let me share my screen real quick so that I can demonstrate to you one of the applications that you can use to perform two-factor authentication and multi-factor authentication on various applications. So I'll just stop sharing. Yeah, so I have Google Authenticator opened up. So this application is a two-factor and a password management application. So let's say you have, for example, I have Discord set up over here. So whenever I try to log in to my Discord account and I get everything right, then I will have to put my email. I will have to put my email, of course, and my password to log in. After that, I will need to receive the OTP. But if I do not receive it from my phone number, then I will have to open up the Authenticator application and copy the code, the 6-digit code, and then paste it, and I will be able to log in. So this is also another application by Google that is used for password management and two-factor authentication and multi-factor authentication management as well. So it's called Google Authentication app. So it's free and it's really useful to use. So if you are maybe trying to set up two-factor authentication for a computer, you have an option to scan a QR code for the computer as well as enter a setup key for the computer. So you are free to use it on however you see comfortable. Yeah. So let's stop this first and move forward. So one thing that you should be aware of as well is phishing emails. So when you are using emails, not only emails, but I will just say phishing in general. So when you're using any application for communication with peer-to-peer or someone else, or student teacher with a student, so the application that you're using, someone else with a malicious intent can use it to share with you a link. So this is another thing to be keen about. Links that are sent via emails and the messaging applications, especially in Slacks and Discord, these community applications, the ones that are used to perform task assignments as a group. These applications are the one leading with the high numbers of phishing attacks that are used on. So an email that might look suspicious, let's say the email might come in as google.com, but the Google is containing a single O. That means the whole URL is messed up. First of all, it's not legit. But when you open the link, it opens up in a Gmail platform. When you enter your credentials, your username and password and email, and it asks you for the OTP and you send it, it doesn't really go to Gmail as Google, but it goes to the one with the bad intent to get access to your account. So you should be aware of such attacks as well. So the first thing on how you're going to prevent yourself from such attacks happening to you is to be able to be keen about every URL that is being sent to you. So you need to be sure about everything that you are receiving and you are sending, especially when it concerns the internet. So all these URLs, documents, you should be aware of the extensions. You should be aware of the links. Are they legit or not? Yes. So I think for my part, I have explained quite very much on how you can secure yourself on the internet using various ways and applications and software. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a good session. There have been a few concerns raised in the Q&A section. Do you have any demonstrations for people using iOS or Mac devices?
So unfortunately, I do not have a demonstration for people with iOS or Mac, but for the two-factor authentication applications, they are available for Android devices and iOS devices, as well on Windows, as well on Mac, as well on Linux. Yeah, however you use it, but yes, it's that way. So yeah, sorry, I do not have a presentation for a demonstration for iOS and Mac.
It's all right. It's all right. We will try and answer those questions as much as we can outside the forum regarding iOS and Mac devices. So we'll go straight to the Q&A. But before we do that, I would like to thank you so much for taking us throughout that session. It complements a lot of the material we shared throughout this week. And I hope participants have been able to learn one or two things throughout the session. So if you do have any questions for Mr. Farouk, please add them to the Q&A section and we'll try to answer them throughout the next couple of minutes before we leave. One more thing, all the material that he has shared today will be shared with you together with the recording of this webinar. If your colleagues were not able to join us, that would be part of what is sent throughout during the course of the week. Yeah, so you will not miss out on anything. And if you missed out on something that was mentioned throughout his presentation, you should be able to get it back from the recording. All right, so the Q&A section. How do these ad blockers work on a mobile? Or are you able to add the ad blockers on your mobile devices? So would you like to answer that, sir? You are mute again.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we do have applications. There are a lot of applications that you can use on Android and iOS devices. So all you can do is go to Play Store or App Store and you can just type in AD blocker. So the famous one is AD Guard. So AD Guard is available anywhere. So you can use any AD blocker that is available. Sometimes VPNs also come with AD blockers. Yeah. So you can also use, for example, I remember what's this VPN. If it's not what's the name of this VPN? Nord. If it's not Nord, then it must be ExpressVPN. Yeah, it also comes with an AD blocker. Yeah, so the applications are free and available on Play Store and App Store as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Can a free antivirus give us the necessary protection that one requires on their devices? What do you think?
Yes and no as well. You will be limited to some extent. As I said, for example, we are taking a scenario in school. A school is a huge place with a lot of people. Let's say maybe, yeah, it also has its own network, obviously. So if you're going to be using an antivirus for the whole school, then it's supposed to be in an enterprise level. In a way that all of the computers around the school should be installed with it, and it should be paid, obviously, so that it can not have limited features.
To add onto that, so other than using the enterprise level antivirus software tools, I believe that tools that come inherent in your operating system, something like Windows Defender, should work perfectly okay for an individual, and there's usually no need to supplement it here. But when it comes to an enterprise scale, then I believe what you've said would apply on that level. But on an individual level, I believe that any OS is usually shaped with an antivirus solution, and that would usually work perfectly fine. Yeah. Yeah. So nice presentation. That's from Grace. What's the difference, if any, between the antivirus software and the anti-malware software? Do you think there's any difference?
So basically, when you're downloading an antivirus software, it should be coming in pack with the anti-malware software. For example, I'm using Symantec. Symantec is a spyware protection software, an antivirus software, as well as anti-malware software. So malware and the virus, they have some minor differences. If I go into depth in it, I'll be a bit confusing you. But so antivirus is used to stop a virus, and anti-malwares are used to stop malware. But in most applications and programs that are available, when you install an anti-malware such as Kaspersky, it should be able to also perform anti-malware and antivirus at the same time. So I think there is a slight difference, but the program that you're using to perform that task will perform both tasks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Hi. Does that Go browser have its server in Hong Kong?
Well, I do not know about that.
I'm not very sure about it as well.
Yeah.
All right. Do Android phones have firewalls?
Do Android phones have firewalls? I'm not an expert in Android phones, so this will be a bit of a hard one to answer you. I do not know, and I do not think it has a firewall. Even if it has a firewall, it's limited to its own limits. So yeah, I think I ought to research that into a depth. Yeah.
I'm also not entirely sure. So if Patricia and Linda have a response to that, we'd really appreciate it and we'd welcome it. So if you do know whether Android phones have firewalls, please do let us know. So from an anonymous attendee, other than installing an antivirus, how else can you prevent phishing emails?
Okay. As I said earlier, so you should be sure of where your emails are coming from. Like as I said, you should know what you're receiving and what you're sending. So yeah, you should be keen about the links, the type of email that you're receiving, who is it from, the email address that is it from. You should be aware of these details when you are reading the email that looks kind of suspicious. Yeah.
So just to add on what you've mentioned, so a majority of the ways in which one is able to curb the phishing emails, a lot of it boils down to the individual. So whether or not you're expecting that email, the nature of that email, how it looks. So a lot of it is just you being very keen about the email itself. Not the antivirus is a solution for in case you clicked the link or you downloaded the documents. So from the very first go, it's a social engineering attack. So you need to be very, very keen about what this email is about, what they're asking you to do, and so on and so forth, just to reiterate what you mentioned. All right, so the next one, do you think it's safe to have passwords saved with Google? I'm assuming your browser, Google Chrome, considering the fact that if say theft, I think all your passwords. So is it recommended to save all your passwords on your browser?
Okay, so basically, if you're using Windows and you have a password enabled in your Windows device, when a thief is able to take hold of your computer or your laptop and he opens it up, let's say he tries to access your browser, and the first thing he needs to have access to is your password. So even if he managed to get access to the guest account, the browser that contains your account will require the password so that it can be able to display all the saved passwords in the browser. So yeah, you should be able to protect that part using your password. If your password is strong enough, then you are all good. If it's not, then you're not good. But another way to save your password safely is by using drives. So yeah, the cloud. It's a nice way to save password as well, because as you say, when your laptop is stolen, but I think Google is also a nice way since it's all the cloud. Yeah, so it's a safe way, but it depends with how you're setting your environment.
Oh, and to top that off, I think one of the general recommendations we make throughout this course is to use password managers rather than saving your passwords on your browser or on a list. So a really good way to save your passwords is on a password manager. And we've mentioned a couple: KeePass, LastPass, and so on and so forth. So another thing about saving your passwords on your browser, sometimes if, and I've seen this while working in my security career, sometimes an attacker is able to get access to where your passwords are stored on your browser. So how your browser stores password, it uses a small database. So if an attacker gets access to that database, and they're quite easily able to, they are able to then crack your passwords without necessarily going through the whole process of entering the keys that you necessarily need. So it is safe generally, but there's a small risk of an attacker being able to get access to your browser passwords. So the general recommendation that we make throughout the course is to use password managers rather than any other technique, but they're usually mostly safe. So assuming an attacker is using a Tor browser remotely to attack your network, how possible is it that your firewall or antivirus should be able to detect such an attack?
Okay, so as long as you're performing an attack, whether it's any sort of attack, whether it's an XSS attack, so if you're using a firewall such as Checkpoint, or maybe what's this called, Cisco firewalls, so it will be able to detect the attack that is performed on your device, regardless of what you're using to mask your own IP. As long as it's an attack, it will show that an attack is being performed on this device, coming from this IP, and your IP is this one. So yeah, it will be able to show that.
All right. So I think Shadrach should be able to feel a little bit safer. So Nisha, can you put the names of ad blockers on the chat, please? So Patricia and Linda, would you mind doing that? Putting the names of the ad blockers on the chat so that Anisha should be able to see them. You said that firewalls can be hardware or software. I am used to the software firewalls. Can you explain a bit about hardware firewalls?
Okay, so hardware firewalls are actually in let's say a lab-based environment or maybe an enterprise-based environment. So as I mentioned previously, that we have like Checkpoint, we also have what's this called, Cisco. These actually there are a lot of firewalls which are hardware-based. So a hardware-based firewall is actually used to act as a firewall for a huge structure of a network. Okay, rather than a software-based firewall, it will act upon your own device. So that's the main difference. So the the software firewall, it will just act on your device, and the hardware firewall is set on a big, on a huge network that's in an environment of the to secure the environment of the security of the environment in the network.
Yeah. So hardware firewalls tend to be more enterprise or a more network-based security feature, while software are the ones that come generic to the operating system. Right. So the antivirus you recommended, is it free source? Is it open source? I'm assuming.
No. It's not open source. Why should you use open source antiviruses? Because people like me who perform researches, we will just go to that open source repository and try to look for vulnerabilities available somewhere, and we'll be able to find an exploit for it. So that is dangerous. You should not use an open source software for saving your critical information, such as your computer, your devices, your privacy. So you should not use an open source software such as an antivirus to protect yourself. I do not recommend that.
Okay. All right. So Shadrach is quite smart, actually. What if the attacker remotely shells into your system and places a Trojan that allows him to remotely deactivate your firewall, antiviruses, and AD setup? I'm assuming he's asking what should you do once that happens. So for anyone who is not who doesn't understand what he's trying to say, someone remotely shelling into your system sort of means someone gaining remote access to your machine. So someone is able to typically see what you're doing, see your devices remotely, and they don't have to be there with you. And this is usually what happens once you get infected by a virus.
Okay.
So yeah, go on.
Yeah, in this case, as of your organization, because till you have an AD set it up, it means that you're not a single person using that environment. You have a lot of people in that environment. And in this case scenario, there should be a team of either incident responders, which are the first responders to such an attack that happens, that will need to take care of it. So personally, I'm not into that part. More of an offensive red teaming person with that aspect, but the aspect of attacking remotely, not the aspect of defending it. But there should be people who are responsible for that, for the way to move forward on that scenario.
Right. Okay. So we've talked about how Windows Defender is usually a safe option. So Cynthia asks, I have executables on my computer. Are they a form of viruses, and how can I prevent them?
Okay, so you have those files, the executables. So you're not sure if they are viruses or not. Well, you should not try. I don't know how to explain this to you, but if you try running them, you might cause a problem on your computer. But if you have maybe Windows Defender opened up, and when you are downloading these files and Windows Defender spotted it and say like, this is dangerous, this is alarming, you should not download this file, but you still downloaded it, then that's a mistake. So in this case, you should, I think I don't use Windows Defender much, but I think there's an option for checking on threats that are available on your computer in the settings.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes. So Windows Defender actually performs periodic updates and checkups on your system. So you could set it up to check it every 2 weeks, every week, and it should be able to give you whether you've been attacked, what type of attacks happen. And I've worked with Windows Defender quite a lot, and I can tell you for free, it's a very, very strong anti-malware protection tool. So if you're using Windows Defender as your only antivirus software, I think you're more than safe from people like Farouk, people who are red teams and so on and so forth. So we only have, I think we'll take 2 more questions and then we can complete. We have quite a number of questions left. For those questions, please, Linda and Patricia, try to answer them in the Q&A section as quickly as possible, and then we will go through to our final section. So is Mac more secure than other operating systems, and why is that?
Okay, this is a nice question. So, in my experience of these stuff that I'm doing, the career that I'm in, so I can say Mac is secure at its own point, but every other operating system is secure at its own point as well. But a Mac OS actually is secure at its own point because when you are trying to get access to the Mac and you are trying to retrieve the image of the Mac, then there is a basic encryption, not actually a basic, it's a more complicated encryption that is done on the image, which makes it nearly impossible to extract it unless you have a paid image which is made by Simuri. Simuri is an organization which makes this software there. So unless you have that software, then you are good to go in Mac. So Mac won't be even secure. But basically, that's what makes Mac secure. So I can say that all operating systems are secure, but Mac is secure at its own point because of the imaging part. Yeah, they have done a nice job encrypting that thing.
I actually did not know that. Thank you.
Yeah. I also didn't.
I actually don't know that, but thank you for that. So Alice asks, is it wise to delete spam emails always?
Yeah, it is. why should you keep spam emails? Because I think spam emails are just filling up your inboxes. Yeah, so why have inboxes that don't have any meaning or importance in your inbox? So yeah, I think it will be good to delete them. It's wise. It's pretty wise.
But I think only to the level where the email was not valuable. Sometimes,
Exactly.
yes, yeah. If it's valuable, then you can keep it. But otherwise, generally, spam emails are not as valuable. But some people have not set up their emails very well, and they always end up in spam. So just be sure what you're deleting is not important emails. Right. So the final question. How safe can we trust incognito on any browser? Like, how safe is it? Can an attacker have access to our data?
Okay. I do not know how the architecture is for the incognito browser, but from what the vendors themselves say, that when you are using their private browsing window, every detail, every browsing history, every data you enter will not be saved in a history once you close the window of the incognito private browser. So that's how secure it is. So if they say that, that means even if an attacker gains access and you are using a private browser to browse your things, that means the attacker won't be able to see what you are browsing. He won't get any information about what you are doing because you are using a private window. Rather than using a normal window, I mean a normal browser, the browser will be saving your information. So it will be easier for the attacker to get the information that way, other than you using the private window, from how the vendors play. Yeah, because they do not have much knowledge on the architecture. Yeah.
Well, that concludes our Q&A section. Thank you so much, Farouk, for that final answer. I didn't know how to actually think about that question, but thank you for that final answer. So thank you so much. As I mentioned before, everything that has been shared, everything that was shared today, all the PPTs will be sent to you via email. And just before we conclude, I'd like to share my screen. All right. So just before I begin, I've been seeing a lot of questions on the Telegram group as well as on the emails about how to share your screenshots based on this week's activities. I gave a full response on Telegram, so if you haven't seen that, please go find it on Telegram, as well as on the activity itself. So if you have a challenge posting your screenshots, I believe that the solution is posted either on Telegram or on the activity itself. If you're still having a challenge, you can always email us and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Just before we finish, as always, you need to be able to track the activities that you're doing in order to be sure that you are viable or eligible for either certificate of completion and participation. So this week we had 3 activities, activity 3A, 3B, and 3C. So in order to be eligible for either completion, certificate of completion or participation, you need to complete at least one of these activities here. But I'd really encourage you to complete all of them because they're very educational and it teaches skills about VPNs and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, of course, you can always email us and we'll get back to you. We also have a quiz. To be able to get a certificate of completion, you should be able to score at least 60%. And to be able to get a certificate of participation, score at least 50%. So score at the very least 50% in order to get at least one certificate. We also have a module assessment, which has 10 questions that assesses everything you've learned throughout the week. To get a certificate of completion, once again, score at least 60% in the module assessments, and to get certificate of participation, score at least 50% in the same assessments. So you get only one certificate. So if you want certificate of completion, you have to work a little bit harder. And if you want a certificate of participation, score at the very least 50%. Just to reiterate, you can always redo the quizzes and assessments throughout all the weeks in order to get the percentage that you actually want to score. So if in week 1 you scored maybe 30%, you have up until 22nd February to get that score higher. So you can redo the quizzes and the module assessments as often as you can, as often as you want, in order to get the score that you actually want. So please make sure you track all these completion rates. And if you have any concerns about the tracking process, we're always ready to help you on Telegram and on email as well. So I will stop my screen sharing there, and I will conclude the session. Thank you so much for everyone who was able to join us. Mr. Farouk, Patricia, Linda. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.